Following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, go Cowboys! This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Sit here and watch Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers destroy the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. That makes for a Victory Monday here inside the SWBC podcast studio. Bill Jones with Mickey Spagnola. Everson Walls has already called in. In fact, he called in on Friday, I think.
Yes, I think he did.
Sick for Monday. Not sick, but he's got other things he has to do today. We're hoping Nate and Frisco comes a running here in just a second. But in the meantime,
I bet we can find enough to talk about.
It's a Victory Monday because the Eagles lost, although we now need to turn our attention a little bit towards the Commanders as well in that NFC East, who are sitting all alone atop the division right now.
Just the way you projected.
Exactly, right. And Jaden Daniels is on an MVP path. Not a Rookie of the Year path, but an MVP path right now. And there's breaking news even after we signed off on Friday, although we suspected it would happen on the injury front with the Cowboys. There's injury news as far as this week's opponent, the Steelers, are concerned, who are no longer unbeaten because of what the Indianapolis Colts did to them today. There is so much to get to on a reset Monday after a mini bye weekend.
So is this like a 72-hour rule now?
Something like that.
That we played the song after
we're
a victory
close to 96
on
hours after Thursday. And we did play it on Friday,
That's right.
So.
That's
but
right.
Now we reset for the week, and there's a lot of resetting to do. This is a work day here at the Star in Frisco for the Cowboys players and coaches.
Well, they have paid a high price for that victory on Thursday with the two injuries that we knew they suffered to Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, and I think over the weekend brought some clarity on just what those injuries are. And it looks like the Cowboys' defensive end position is going to get depleted for at least 1 to 2 weeks, if not more. And that's the last thing they needed to have happened. Micah Parsons with a high ankle sprain. And those things, I think Stephen Jones on Friday called it week to week, and they hadn't given up for this week. But if it is indeed a high ankle sprain, depending on the severity, I would imagine it's at least 1 week, if not 2, knowing the history of high ankle sprains. And then from DeMarcus Lawrence, it was initially a mid-foot sprain. And I think as reports have come out, it's a Lisfranc injury with the chance that he would miss 4 to 8 weeks. And normally on those, Bill, I think from history tells us the end part is usually the high, not the low. So if the Cowboys indeed end up putting him on injured reserve, that's at least 4 weeks that you would have to miss, and it's a pretty painful injury.
Those are two words you do not want to hear. Lisfranc.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know who that's named after?
No, I do not. But I'm about to find out.
I've got some history
Research
for
is
you.
done here.
Dr. Jacques Lisfranc de Saint-Martin.
Sounds like a Frenchman.
Was a French doctor. And during the Napoleonic Wars, the cavalry guys were suffering this injury, and he discovered it was a high foot sprain to the bones on the top of your foot that was caused to the soldiers that were in the cavalry for their foots being in the horse stirrups.
Oh, wow.
And the pressure from hanging on.
I thought they had some. It was only affecting those who were rushing the quarterback back then.
Well, they weren't rushing the quarterback then. They were rushing the enemy and trying to stay up on their horses, and they kept fracturing bones on the top of their foot. So he discovered this. So they named the injury after him.
So the injury is the top of the foot?
Exactly.
Okay.
Even
though we're taping the bottom of the foot.
No, that's for the other injury that you tear at the bottom of the foot, right?
But on the sideline, they were taping the bottom of
Well, they were probably wrapping the whole thing up, right?
It appeared the way he had his foot there, it looked like, okay, that looks like an arch problem.
Yeah.
But it was the top of the foot instead,
yeah.
the Liz Frank injury.
That's what the injury
Now, was
is.
Liz Frank, what did Jordan Lewis have? Was that
similar, but he had surgically repaired broken or fractured bones.
Right.
And so they had to do surgery.
I was trying to remember, was that a Liz Frank?
Yeah. Okay. Well, it was like the most severe
of the
because not only, I think if I remember correctly, did he have fractured bones, he also had some torn ligaments in there also. So it doesn't sound like they're doing surgery on Tank. So that's a good thing. But again, 4 weeks, that takes you, up until the San Francisco game? You got Pittsburgh this week, Detroit, the bye, and then another week before you play San Francisco. And that would be the least amount of time it looks like he'd be out.
Take it 8 weeks, and you're taking it to Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, right?
I mean, because you look at the schedule for the Cowboys now, we've been talking about the next 6 games. Well, we need to include the next 7 games now because Washington is that 7th game.
Yes.
Where you've got at Pittsburgh this week, at home against Detroit, the bye week, and then at San Francisco, at Atlanta, home against Philadelphia, home against Houston, at Washington. Yes, I do have it memorized because it is the most perilous stretch of the season for this team, and they're hitting it right now.
Especially with the Commanders sitting there now at 3-1 after losing their opener. They've won 3 straight this past Sunday, beating the Cardinals 42-14. And they've scored already on 23 drives. They went 7 of 7 when they beat the Giants. They went 6 of 6 when they beat Cincinnati, and 7 of 9 possessions they scored against the Cardinals. So they're scoring at least a field goal, if not a touchdown, on all these drives over the first part of the season, on top of the rookie quarterback, Jaden Daniels, completing 82.1% of his passes, highest ever for a quarterback in the first 4 games of a season. Not first 4 for a rookie, first 4 anybody for a season. So, these last 3 games, they've scored on 20 of 22 full possessions, and I guess that's why Dan Quinn decided to give Cliff Kingsbury the game ball on Sunday.
Well, and they're back in Arizona.
Yes.
And so
had a little bit to do with both guys, right?
The Cliff Kingsbury Bowl. And, but this NFL is so crazy. It's a week-to-week proposition because all those numbers you're talking about with Jaden Daniels, and he's doing great. We were saying the same things 2 weeks ago about Derek Carr and the New Orleans Saints.
Right.
And they've turned around and they've lost 2 straight games. And against this Philadelphia team, the Baker Mayfield lit up yesterday. He couldn't do anything against them the week after he tore up the Cowboys. And by the way, which brings us to the Sunday night game this week, Buffalo going into the weekend. People, the so-called experts across the country were saying that Buffalo has the best team in the league, the most high-powered offense in the league, and Baltimore was, and the Dallas defense was just horrendous, and they were with
You're
2 straight games of giving up so many yards rushing, and Dallas turns it around against a far inferior Giants team in terms of running the football compared to the Ravens, but 24 carries for 26 yards. But back to Buffalo, they're the hottest team in the league. They go into Baltimore, and they're basically trailing in the second quarter by as much as the Cowboys were against the Ravens too.
And ended up giving up the exact same amount of rushing yards, believe it or not.
Was the exact
274.
274, and Derrick Henry was at 199, and they were trying their hardest to get him a 200-yard game, and to no avail. But they wind up losing 35-10.
And gave up an 89-yard touchdown run.
87 on the first play.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
To a guy that's about 240. I don't know.
He's much more than 240. He came into the league at 250, but he's also runs 22 miles an hour, and he was running away from those DBs on
that was the amazing part.
Yeah.
They weren't catching up.
By the way, I don't know this for sure, but that is the longest run in Ravens history. And I believe tied for second was the LeRon McClain 82-yarder in the final game at Texas Stadium.
Against
he was tied,
Cowboys.
I think, with Jamal Lewis. And
Yeah.
in the top 5 was also Willis McGahee's 77-yarder in that same game against the Cowboys in the last 4 minutes of that last game ever played at Texas Stadium. But I mean, Derrick Henry is just a freak of nature, and they talked about it in the Ravens-Cowboys game. The diet that he is on and how well he is taking care of his body, and it shows.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to remind everybody, why didn't the Cowboys sign him? Well, he signed a 2-year, $16 million deal with Baltimore, $9 million guaranteed, and the big cap hit is next year, the second year. I think it ends up being $11 million. It's $5 million this year.
And it was, I believe, $9 million guaranteed.
Yeah. So the Cowboys were, knowing what they were going to have to do with Dak, what they were going to have to do with CeeDee Lamb, and knowing that Micah was coming up, they were very hesitant to spend that much money on a 29-year-old running back going on 30. But maybe he's got the secret sauce because he doesn't seem like he's slowing down.
Okay, so back to the lead story with the Cowboys as they're back here after their long weekend, and what to do about the edge rusher situation.
Well,
what to do about it. And by the way, locker room's open at 12:45.
Yes.
You want to break early, right, to get in there,
or at least by 12:45.
Okay.
Maybe
so you
we
get
won't
down
take
the
our
hallway
extra
and
5
get
minutes.
down to the locker room. And then McCarthy is at 3:30 today?
3 o'clock
3
today.
o'clock today.
Coordinators
and then the
at
coordinators
3:30.
after that, which will be our first time in a couple of weeks to talk to the coordinators because of the short week last week.
Right. So they're going to
Who are the names that pop to mind for
Marshawn
you?
would start with Nealon, your second-round draft choice. I'm sure he's starting at one of the defensive end spots.
And when they drafted Marshawn Nealon, the way I looked at that, he is the heir apparent to DeMarcus Lawrence.
Right.
Over the next several years.
And he's
were
played...
hoping that would be next year before he would...
be the starter.
Yeah.
But he has played the most snaps of any of the guys we're getting ready to talk about. He's had 108 snaps so far. He's got 9 tackles. I believe that's right. A couple, 5 quarterback hits, a tackle for a loss in this last game. And
he had 36 snaps
in this past game.
Which, and part of that is because Lawrence went out, and so that increased his snaps at the end of the game. But he also had 44 snaps in the season opener at Cleveland, in between just 18 against the Saints and 10 against Baltimore.
So he's immediately a starter. And if you remember, he was one of the stories in training camp on how well he played as a rookie. And then after that, well, here are the names. Carl Lawson.
He's the next guy that came to mind for me, that they need Carl Lawson to step up
right.
With the absence of Mike. I look at Nealon as quote unquote the next man up
Right.
for Lawrence.
Right.
Lawson the next man up for Parsons.
And Lawson is on the practice squad still, technically. We're assuming that Lawrence is going on injured reserve, which that means he's out at least 4 weeks. Lawson has been elevated the last 2 games off the practice squad, so he's got 1 elevation left. And I would imagine they will judge his performance if indeed they put him on the 53-man roster after this Pittsburgh game.
And by the way, I don't know if Lawson had 22 snaps in the game on Thursday against the Giants. I was looking at Carlos Watkins, who had 10.
Yeah.
Carl Lawson had 22 snaps.
So in his 2 activations, he's got 30 snaps.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal on him. He first came here, and initially they didn't like what they saw or heard, and they let him go. And then when they had the injury to Sam Williams, which is another guy at that position, so your top 3 defensive ends going into the season are now no longer available for several weeks, it looks like. Then they brought Lawson back, put him on the practice squad, where he remained to get ready since he hadn't been with anybody in training camp, and then he's been called up these last 2 games. But if you look at his history, and it's kind of weird because last year when he signed a contract, in 2022 he signed with the Jets, he played 17 games and had 7 sacks. Last year, he only played 6 games with the Jets and only had 5 tackles. And they released him, and nobody touched him during the offseason until the Cowboys signed him to the practice squad. So they desperately need 2022 version of Carl Lawson, because at least he's played in the league, right? After that, it's Chauncey Golston, who's been kind of a career backup. And Chauncey started training camp off as a defensive tackle. They had moved him inside, and now they've moved him back to defensive end. He had 25 snaps in the game. And so we'll see, just how much he can do. So between those 3 guys, that's sort of what they have, Bill, at defensive end.
I think you're looking at practice squads around the league.
Yes.
And looking to poach somebody. We can't get into names. I've got someone in mind myself, but I'm not going to say it on the air because we aren't able to talk about other players.
You can write it down here for a secret.
I will let you know. And I will let you know if it doesn't happen who I had in mind.
Because they don't have any other defensive ends on their own practice squad.
Mm-hmm.
I heard somebody suggest that they could move like a defensive tackle.
Tyrus Wheat, who has been active for games.
Right. I forgot to mention him.
Who was inactive for the game the other day. But he is another guy that will.
He's a
fit
body, and he's on the 53.
He's a second-year guy who they've had here. Now for in his second year, to where he falls into that next man up category.
He's active. He was active the first 2 games, and then inactive game day. He's got 13 snaps so far this season, 2 tackles. So that's the other name. From a depth standpoint, you kind of got to. It's like you got to keep at least those 4 guys active for the game at this point. But again, it's just the same position.
And even if Parsons is able to go against Pittsburgh,
right,
or gives it a shot against Pittsburgh, you have to be fortified with depth there, because you don't know once he gets out there and really pushes it what he's able to do.
Yeah, and you would need Lawson and Wheat active for sure.
But you did mention Chauncey Golston as a guy who's going to really get increased opportunities here too. All those guys on the defensive line. And by the way, when you look at how the defensive line played against the Giants, and in particular the way Mozzie Smith played against the Giants. That was a real sign of encouragement for this team going forward if Mozzie can continue to play like he did against the Giants.
Right, and I think Linville Joseph played better in that game. And again, these are guys that just weren't, especially him. They wasn't in training camp. No one had signed him. So the Cowboys, were doing their best to fortify that position, but it was with guys basically coming off their couch. So that's kind of as if you don't have enough problems, this added to it for paying a high price to win that game against the Giants.
Okay, Steelers are having problems of their own coming off their loss to the Colts yesterday. Injury problems in Pittsburgh, and we continue with more Mix Shots brought to you by Miller Lite in just a moment.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Miller Lite is brewed with great taste and only great taste.
The Miller Brewing Company would like to issue a correction. Miller Lite is brewed to be less filling. What are you doing here?
Miller Lite tastes great.
Look, I'm just reading the script. It says less filling.
That's not what my script says.
Well, mine says...
We'd like to apologize for the previous announcers. Miller Lite is in fact less filling and tastes great. Time to shine, legal guy.
Celebrate responsibly. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Beer. 96 calories and 3.2 grams carbs per 12 ounces. Fewer calories and carbs than premium regular beer.
Back to Mixed Shots.
Come shop at the Star in Frisco on Saturday, September 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at Flea Styles Market at the Star, presented by Maker Place by Michaels, featuring 50-plus local makers offering art, fashion, home decor, jewelry, and kids' items. Market at the Star is always a favorite. Admission is free. Visit stardistrict.com for more info.
All right, it's going to be an interesting week as the Cowboys play the Steelers this week, and we talk about the Cowboys' injury concerns. Well, in Pittsburgh, they've got a whole bunch of injury concerns themselves, and especially on their offensive line, where word comes this morning, James Daniels, offensive guard, out for the year, torn Achilles. Yesterday's game. They already were missing Isaac Saumalo, who was projected to miss a month with a strained pec. So they've got two backups that will be projected to start at offensive guard for them against the
One
Cowboys.
of them I think I saw was a rookie draft choice. Fourth round, I think it was their fourth round pick, and they had a seventh round pick also that they were, and they had already lost their center, Nate Herbig, with a torn rotator cuff.
He's out for the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So everybody's got problems.
Now, they do have Zach Frazier, who's a second-round draft pick, starting center for them out of West Virginia. A lot of people liked him and projected him perhaps to the Cowboys in the draft if they had taken a center in the second round of the draft. although he went before the Cowboys picked in the second round. But, yeah, I mean, every team's got issues. And the guard that you're talking about is Mason McCormick, who has been starting for them with Salmalo out. Actually, he got 25 snaps last week, and then out of South Dakota State, he was a 4th-round draft pick. And Spencer Anderson is the 7th-round draft pick from last year, who actually started the first 2 games of the year. So he was the guy that was filling in for Salmalo.
So Salmalo comes back, then McCormick could play the Daniels position then?
Yeah. Or actually, maybe that Spencer Anderson would be the guy. Yeah. But anyway, regardless, they've got issues. And how'd they do rushing the football yesterday? Well, Najee Harris had 13 carries for 19 yards against Indianapolis. Now, he did have 3 catches for 54 yards.
Right.
They fell behind 17-0 to the Colts, and then they came back. Justin Fields has actually been playing pretty well for them. And, of course, Russell Wilson was the guy that was projected to be their starting quarterback after coming over after being with the Broncos, and they've got him on a veteran minimum deal because Broncos are still paying him his big bucks. But Wilson's been out, and so it's been Fields' job from the first game this season, and he's actually played
their
very
leading
well.
rusher?
You know what? He has, if I can read my writing here.
I think he was the leading rusher this past game.
10 carry. Let's see, against Indy, he had 10 carries for 55 yards yesterday. 2 touchdowns. Sacked 4 times and passed for 312 yards.
Wow.
Yep, 22 out of 34. With a touchdown, no picks. And that's the big thing is he hasn't been turning the football over.
So I wonder, do they stay with him?
When Wilson is ready?
Wilson is ready.
Well, they were staying with him as they were winning games, and they were 3-0 before yesterday. And now they've lost a game, but he played well in the game. And so I haven't had a chance to go back and watch the game to see exactly but looking at the stats, he played well yesterday. So I fully anticipate that Fields should be starting for them this week.
They've beaten Atlanta, Denver, and the Chargers. And then they lose to Indy with Joe Flacco.
Yeah, and so they probably had a better chance with Joe Flacco. Had a worse chance with Joe Flacco quarterback in the Colts. So.
Yeah. So, boy, Richardson just can't stay healthy.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, he better quit running. Mm-hmm. He's not built like these other quarterbacks that are running the ball, like Hurts, by the way, who's going to put himself in some trouble if they keep running him as much.
So how did you spend your Sunday? Did you watch these games?
I watched the noon game, and then
which noon game did you watch?
Both of them.
Okay.
Eagles,
Tampa Bay, and then Minnesota's playing Green Bay.
Minnesota, and I think
that's the games we got over the air here.
And I think didn't both games get off to like 28-0 starts?
Yes, that's right. Yep. And Tampa Bay kind of stayed that way, but the Packers came back on the Vikings.
Yeah, and made it close. And then I monitored the first part of the night game and watched the rest of it.
Did you watch the Kansas City game?
I was only monitoring, I think, highlights of that one.
Okay, so we're talking about the run game with the Cowboys and so forth, and with just in general. And you look around the league, you would see what Baltimore's doing, running the football. And of course, they're built that way. But even the Kansas City Chiefs, when it came down, it's a 10-10 game in the fourth quarter. And it just underscores even with Patrick Mahomes at quarterback for you. Now, they lost their leading receiver, Rashee Rice, to what appears to be a season-ending ACL injury. And he had been going off for them the first couple of games. They had to run the football. They wore down the Chargers, who were missing Joey Bosa and Derwin James on defense. But it was they're depleted at running back. They've got Kareem Hunt running the football because they've lost Pacheco.
Right.
And Kareem Hunt primarily, and then Samaje Perine got the go-ahead touchdown. But they had one drive where they started deep in their own end of the field, and by running the football, an occasional pass, it was a 50-yard drive or whatever, and then they were able to flip the field on the Chargers. And then the next drive, basically same stuff, where they were able to punch it in for the go-ahead score, and then they had to finish them off at the end. But your ability to be able to run the football to win football games is something that I don't know if the Cowboys are ever going to get there with what they've got in the run game right now, what they've got on the offensive line, but it's necessary to win these close games. And Kansas City was a great proof of it yesterday, even with the best quarterback in the game.
And I'm glad you mentioned the offensive line, because when I see, and I continue to say this week to week, when I watch these other games, these running backs have got huge holes to run through. And I just don't see that often with this Cowboys running game. And I don't know if how they're designed the blocks or how the plays are scripted, but I just don't see that many open spaces. Now, it was better against the Giants. I thought Rico Dowdle had a couple carries there where there was room to run. But for the most part, it's just not there, and it's not all on the two rookies that are starting, Guyton and Cooper Beebe. I think it was across the board. They're just not run blocking that well to give those guys an opportunity.
Let me give you an idea on this Chiefs game. I've got their play-by-play up here, and it just shows you how you've got to establish this run game in order to have success at throwing the football too. This is winning football, okay? It's a 10-10 game, fourth quarter, and the Chiefs started off at their own 3-yard line, okay? Kareem Hunt for 6 yards. And he just got here this week.
Right.
Kareem Hunt for 6 yards. Kareem Hunt for 7 yards. Kareem Hunt for 5 yards. Pirine for 2 yards. So they've dug out of the hole. They're only at the 23-yard line. Mahomes scrambles for 13 out to the 36. Kareem Hunt for 6 yards. And then an incomplete pass, and then a pass to Kelsey, and they wind up having to punt the football away. Okay. They get a stop, a 3-and-out. Okay, and then they get the ball back, and this was their touchdown drive, which they had flipped the field. They're starting at their own 40-yard line now, and they start, okay, because they run the football so well. They start with a 29-yard pass to Noah Gray, their tight end, and then it's Hunt for 9, Hunt for 5, short pass to Hunt for 9, an incomplete pass, and then Pirine a touchdown, 2-yard run. But you're talking 80% of their plays are run plays, and then they get the ball back at the end of the game, and it's a one-score game. They get it at their own 4-yard line again. The game's not over. They got to get a first down to end this thing, and Hunt goes for 4. Hunt goes for no gain, and then they throw a pass to Worthy for 16 yards and end the game.
So they established a run game.
That's right.
And it's not so much who was running the ball. It was the fact that the offense produced a running game. Because Hunt he wasn't with anybody during training camp. No.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, look who's here.
Nate in Frisco. And this is just the perfect time for Nate in Frisco to join the show, because we're talking about the importance of an offensive line, what the Chiefs did in their game against the Chargers yesterday. And Nate in Frisco, we're going to let you get hooked up, and we're going to come back and finish the show with you when Mick Shots continues in just a moment.
Mickey Shots.
The Medal of Honor is our country's highest military award for valor in combat. More than 40 million individuals have served in the armed forces since the Civil War. Fewer than 4,000 have received the Medal of Honor. The National Medal of Honor Museum will be a place to preserve these legacies and inspire America. It's being built right next door to the Dallas Cowboys in Texas. Help us honor our country's greatest heroes. Learn more and get involved at mohmuseum.org.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Hey Cowboy fans, I'm Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. But lately, I've been learning a new game, crypto. Sound confusing? Don't worry, even us pros were rookies in crypto once. That's why I trust blockchain.com. They make crypto easy. No confusing jargon, just the tools to help you win.
Prescott keeps it, slides with a first down.
Invest like your icons, where everyone is a rookie in crypto with blockchain.com.
Perfect throw, my goodness. Wow, did he ever thread the needle.
Visit blockchain.com/Cowboys to get started.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with pre-game sideline access and photo ops with current players, cheerleaders, and Cowboy legends. You want to stay at a team hotel, attend the best tailgate party in Texas, tour the Star, and talk X's and O's with me, Everson Walls? With Star Sports Tours, you can. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Back to Mick Shots.
By the way, are you the 2024 Dallas Cowboy Fan of the Year? The Dallas Cowboys and Captain Morgan are celebrating extraordinary, inspiring, and original fans. Nominate yourself or the biggest Cowboy fan you know for a chance to be named the 2024 Fan of the Year and win prizes, including a trip to Super Bowl 59. Visit DallasCowboys.com/fan of the year and go Cowboys.
All right, Nathan Frisco has joined us, the six-time Pro Bowl offensive lineman for your Dallas Cowboys. And we were just having me talking offensive line and the need for the offensive line to kind of set the tone for things on this offense. What are you seeing out of this offensive line now coming out of that Giants game, Nate?
The thing about this offensive line is it's a battling, hard-fighting offensive line. And our left tackle is struggling, but the other guys are holding up, and so they're getting through this. The run game was a little bit better. There was a few holes this game. We don't know how bad the Giants are or how good we are, but we won the game, and our offensive line was a part of that win. And it was ugly for our left tackle. Yes, it was truly ugly. He has to learn that it's better to run guys around the horn than it is to let them come inside. I said since training camp, technique. Believe in those long arms. He's not as strong as he will be after a full off season. He will still keep his feet. He'll firm up. He'll get tougher. But as long as he don't give up and continue to battle, my hat's off to him. And I just believe that this year. It's a soft rebuild. You're trying to rebuild while maintaining some type of stability. But for us, the offensive line, they played okay. I give this whole team probably about a C+, a B, with Dak being an A. With Dak being the only A that I'm giving up at this point. But the rest of the team seem to be holding in there, and they're battling. They're right where I thought they would be. I mean, every week I'm going to pick them to win. I don't care. I'm just a Cowboy fan. I've been a homer all my life. But the reality is the Cowboys are going to be in a great fight this week, and we're going to be missing some star players, and our offensive line can take another step to being a little bit better, playing as a unit.
Were you happy with BB's play?
I was okay with it. For me to say that I went back and just studied him. A lot of times my first inclination of a guy or the offensive line as a whole is probably okay. And I think BB did what he had to do because understand me, if he didn't, I promise you 79, Dexter Lawrence would have exposed them. I promise you, this is a man full grown and then some. So by him and the two guys, the left guard and right guard, they handled their business. I mean, we looking for the 100-yard rusher, the 200-yard rusher, and Henry Could you just be inactive so our fans can quit Googling over you, including me? Just go away, Henry, okay?
Henry.
Every time he rushed for more than 100 yards, I listen to every show, and I'm okay with the Cowboys, but no, you're not okay with the Cowboys. Henry, could you go away? You're a nightmare.
He was a nightmare in that game, right?
Yes, he was. I enjoyed the weekend. I listened to I'm a red zone guy, not a fantasy guy, but I'm a red zone guy because they keep you abreast. Whoever that guy is, he's very good at what he does, keeping you popping around the league and keeping you up to date. And so, but that game last night, it just proved one thing: nobody is invincible. The Bills, even Kansas City, is fighting. When you have a Mahomes, it's just special. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's just special.
And that's what I was just talking about when you came in here is even though they have Mahomes, what won the game for them is they were able to run the football in the fourth quarter of that game against the Chargers.
Yes.
And,
he made enough big plays early to sustain them. And the thing that this team has to develop, and it has to build into their culture, and I'm talking about the Dallas Cowboys, is we have to have a tougher mentality. That's the only thing that has kept us out of the NFC Championship game is that tougher mentality. We have talent. We have coaches that can put the talent in the proper places. But are you dog mean mad enough to just take it when it comes down? Because the schemes, by the fourth quarter, everybody know everybody. It ain't nothing like you coming up with something new. You know, like you Y.E. Tittle and finna make something happen. Come on, man. Are you just gonna go out and, grab it, man? Like Jimmy said, grab them by the, But hey, we got to learn to do that.
Yep.
And that's one of the reasons why those teams that got off to those fast starts on Sunday couldn't sustain it because they were still having to throw the ball.
Yes.
They weren't running the ball well.
Yes.
And that allowed Green Bay to get back in that game. It's you need that part of the game, and it's not all based on the running back.
It's the more this league tries to run away from the running game, what everybody has to do now, or the smart coaches are doing, these first 4 to 6 games, they're trying to keep it close with their running game. They're trying to maintain some stability, some balance, to not let this other team get away from them. And if you were watching the Ravens game, how they have been letting people back in the game, but they say, you know what? They took their run game up another notch. So it didn't allow the other team to get back in the game because they just they ran the airs, but we like to say run the air out of the ball. Our offensive line, I think, is getting better. They're battling. They're not technique sound. Now, our two guards are, but our two guards don't look as good as they normally look because the players around them are not as good. If you take our guard, right guard and left guard, and plug them in with the 49ers, they will be unstoppable. And so people be like, what? Yeah, you plug our left guard and our right guard into the 49ers, and the 49ers will be invincible. And I believe that with all my heart. It's who you're around. Like Magic Johnson, the Lakers with Kareem, Worthy, Norm Nicks, these guys were already there. But when Magic came, now you're talking about a whole different story. And I ain't going to bring up the Washington. I'm not going to do that. Because that kid, I asked everybody around here, and I got to ask y'all, what do you think about this kid from Washington? Don't give me all this and all that. What do you think about that kid, the kid from Washington?
He's playing the best football of his life. And this is better than winning the Heisman last year at LSU. I think he took another step from where he was in college.
If I had the first pick in the draft, I would have taken Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, you said that the other day.
And nothing against Caleb Williams, but I would have taken Jaden Daniels.
My thing is this right here. I'm asking people around the building, and they keep telling me, well, he got this and he got that. Hey, y'all, he come from LSU. it's a world of talent down there. People misjudge Louisiana. I don't. These kids are outstanding. This coach that they have, maybe not a great people person, but if you listen to him, he can get you ready for the next level.
You're talking about LSU.
LSU's coach.
Brian
You may
Kelly.
not like him as a human being, and he may not always seem to be winning the right way. Like he, even at Notre Dame, he would kind of, why did they lose? But his kids seem to be intelligent,
And then,
seem to be right.
in the case of Jaden Daniels, before that, he was at Arizona State.
Yes.
With Herm Edwards. With
Yeah,
NFL.
thank you. Stay humble, my brother.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
Yeah. Okay, speaking of college football, did you see Alabama and Georgia?
I did.
Oh, my God. I turned it off after the first 14
You know what? I
21
turned
points.
away because
Yes.
my wife's a Tech grad, and
Right.
so Texas Tech was playing.
Okay, how did they do?
So I'm watching. She had the Tech game on. Okay, she had the big TV, and so I'm watching the Alabama-Georgia on my iPad.
Right.
And then it was 28-0 or whatever, and then it was Alabama kicked a field goal or something that made it 33-15. I just said, okay, I'm done with, and so I was sitting there watching. The Tech game was close, so I'm watching it. So then I went and checked the score, and there were 3 minutes left, and it was 33-28. And I said, heck with this Tech game. I flip over just in time to see the Georgia touchdown pass that gave them the lead on the first play of their possession, and then the next play for Alabama. Do you know how old Ryan Williams is? The wide receiver for Alabama?
He's in his 8th year of college.
No. The wide receiver for Alabama.
I thought you were talking about the tight end.
17 years old. I think his first name is 17 years old.
Right.
Because every time he touches the ball, 17-year-old Ryan Williams, who might be the best receiver not only in college football, but in the NFL right now.
Wow.
After
I
what I
like
saw
this,
on
man.
Saturday night. But what a game.
The NFL, I mean, it is the baby NFL, but isn't it time to put a cap and get our kids back under 24 years of age in college? Isn't it time?
Oh, yeah, as far as
Well, you know what?
We're past COVID.
This will
so
be the
now
last year of
the extra year of
the extra
eligibility,
years
but-
for COVID.
But you're right.
I'm so tired of these grown men.
Grown men.
Yeah, 28, 29, 30 years old. Some kicker 32 years old.
Yeah. And here's a kid that did not play his senior year of high school.
Right.
He should be in high school right now. Instead, he's tearing it up at Alabama at 17 years old.
I tell it him, man. You know, all while I was listening earlier during the day, college is game day. Is it a Saban thing or is it an Alabama thing? Hey, it must be an Alabama thing.
So I got a solution for you. You got to have 2 TVs going at once.
We've done that before.
My big one, I had LSU on just because, and then I was like, okay, they're going to kill South Alabama. So then I switched. They got the small TV.
Here are the rules
Georgia.
at our house. When my daughters and their husbands are over, we can bring the extra TV and we set it up there. When it's just me there, no, I cannot bring the extra TV down to watch too. I got to use my iPad.
Man,
I need to get control of my scene.
I just go upstairs and put 2 TVs on.
We got it wrong.
Go for it.
Y'all got to run.
Go.
But I sold my wife on the college game day and Red Zone. Sell your family on that. You got to just turn the TV over.
That's right. All right, that does it for Mick Shots, brought to you by Miller Lite, and we will talk at you again tomorrow at noon.
Cowboys got to go.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?